Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we were discussing about lumped heat capacity analysis, and we have derived the relation, this one, theta by theta s is equal to e raised to power minus h a tau over rho vc. Okay. So basically, when we are studying this lumped heat capacity analysis, we are basically trying to calculate temperature time history of the solid actually. Okay. So this theta by theta s, or sometimes we can also call this theta s theta I also. Okay, not q. It's just a minute. It would be theta actually. So I can write it as theta I also. Theta I means initial temperature difference, and theta s also means the same thing. Only thing is that instead of initial temperature, I am saying that it is Ts, or the surface temperature. Otherwise, there is no difference actually. Okay, so effectively, I can write the equation as T minus T infinity divided by Ti minus T infinity equal to e raised to power minus h a tau over rho Vc. So this is the equation which is very very important in this particular case. We derived this equation. Now I just once again would like to tell you about this value. So it is equal to h a tau over rho Vc. So once again h a tau over rho Vc or rho Cv, and this factor a by v can be written as LC. LC stands for the characteristic length. So it's the ratio of the area by volume by area actually. Okay. And finally, when we try to calculate, means try to uh, rearrange the terms, we can also say that this total value is equal to Bird's number into Fourier's number. So that is why the above expression can be written as theta over theta s is equal to e raised to power minus Bird's number into Fourier's number. So once again, somewhere I have used Ts, somewhere I have used Ti. So it is one and the same thing here. Like in the last expression here, I have written Ts, so it is Ti only. Okay. So T minus T infinity divided by Ts minus T infinity is equal to e raised to power minus Bird's number into Fourier number, and we can write it in different manners. Now, what exactly was Bird's number and what is its importance in lumped heat capacity analysis? We discussed in the last class also. Bird's number, as you know, is given by the conduction resistance divided by the convection resistance. Okay, so I can write the conduction resistance as LC, which is basically the characteristic length of the solid divided by K for the solid into area, and this is the convection resistance 1 upon HA. So finally you can see certain terms will cancel out, like area and area cancels out, and we are left with H into LC divided by Ks. So this is the value of the Boyd's number, and the definition as it's clear, it is the resistance due to conduction divided by resistance by convection. So uh, LC, I have already told you, characteristic length, and Ks is the thermal conductivity of the solid. So as I was telling you, Bird's number being the ratio of these two resistances, if the conduction resistance is less, then the value of Bird's number will be very very low, and if the conduction resistance is less or the Bird's number is low, then the temperature gradient within the solid will be negligible. Okay, so when we uh, derive the expression of time temperature history of the solid, we say if the value of the Boyd's number is less than 0.1, then we can consider this solid as the lumped solid actually. Means this solid is in totality a single unit where the temperature at any point within the solid is same everywhere. Okay, though it will not be, because the value of the Bird's number is zero point 0.1, but we say that we are considering it to be same. And in that particular case, yes, there is a certain error, and that error would be that the temperature gradient within the body is less than 5%. Means, yes, temperature will be at the center will be more, and the temperature at the surface would be less, or otherwise also, because if the body is being heated, then the surface temperature would be high, and at the center the temperature would be a little bit low. But that temperature variation or that temperature gradient within the solid body will be less than 5%. And if it is less than 5%, or the Boyd's number value is less than 0.1, then we can consider that this body is a lumped body, and then we can apply lumped heat capacity analysis. Now we discussed about the Boyd's number. Now we are going to discuss about the Fourier number. So uh, once again, let us see what is Fourier's number. We said that t minus t infinity divided by ti minus t infinity is equal to e raised to power minus Boyd's number into Fourier number. So I am just trying to uh, talk about this particular expression where this term is equal to minus Boyd's number into Fourier's number. Okay, so now you see it here. This Fourier number is equal to alpha tau divided by L square, or rather I can say it is LC only, characteristic length basically. So LC, everywhere wherever I am using L, it is LC or the characteristic length. So you should understand it. So LC, wherever I am using, I can use it as LC. Okay, just to denote that it is the characteristic length of the solid. So I have changed it at most of the places. Okay, now you just see the first line where Fourier number is written as alpha tau over L square. So what I have done here is I can uh, write the value of the alpha. What is alpha? Alpha is the thermal diffusivity, and thermal diffusivity is represented by the equation K upon rho C. Then tau is there and LC square is already there, so it's appearing in this equation also. Now what we can do is we can multiply by LC in the top and in the denominator also. So the equation becomes K LC tau divided by rho C LC cube. Okay. Why we are trying, you will understand in a few steps. Now you can see in the next step what we have done, we have taken this tau in the denominator here, and then once again we have multiplied by one more LC in the numerator and divided by LC in the numerator. Just see it here. What change has taken place? Not a bigger change, only multiplying and dividing by LC in the numerator and denominator of the numerator of this expression. And in the denominator, it is rho C LCQ into divided by tau. Okay. And then finally, what we have done is we have written this numerator, this value, we have multiplied by delta t here. Okay, and this k LC square, this LC square is represented as the some sort of area. So this is LC square. Okay, this is LC square. LC square means it has the units of meter square or centimeter square. So it we can quote it as some sort of area. So k into a into delta t. So effectively, if you will see here, this whole expression, this becomes k into a into delta t divided by LC. So if you see, this is basically some sort of conduction equation. Okay, so we say that this is rate of heat conduction across LC in volume, LC equivalent to LC cube, and its unit is actually watts here. So the numerator term comes out to be equivalent to rate of heat conduction across a thickness LC in the volume LC cube, and the unit is in watts. Similarly, if you see this denominator here, in the denominator we have the rho, which is the density, multiplied by LC cube. So rho into volume, LC cube can be considered as some sort of the volume. So this becomes mass. So M. This C stands for specific heat, and this is delta T, which is inserted in this expression divided by tau. So what is this mc delta T? It's this mc delta T is a sort of the rate of heat storage in volume LC cube, and this value is also in watts. So you can see now that this Fourier's number is rate of heat conduction across a solid divided by the rate of heat storage across the same solid actually. Okay, so it is similar to the definition of the thermal diffusivity. Okay, and let us see what is written here. The Fourier numbers is the measure of the rate of heat conduction in comparison with rate of heat storage in a given volume element. Therefore, larger the value of Fourier's number, the deeper the penetration of heat into the solid over a given time. Okay, so means if Fourier's number is large, there will be deeper penetration of heat into the solid for a given period of the time. Now there is one more important information which is given here in the first line. This Fourier's number is a dimensionless time actually. Okay, Fourier's number is a dimensionless time. So this you should remember. Now here we are going to represent this expression which we have just derived, that what is the effect of the various parameters on it. So what we have done here in this graph is, first of all, let us see the equation which we have derived. So it is T minus T infinity divided by Ts minus T infinity, and that value is equal to e raised to power minus HA tau divided by rho Vc. Okay, it is nothing but the Biot's number into Fourier's number. This value is Biot's number into Fourier's number only. Okay, and then we are writing it as theta over theta s is equal to e raised to power minus m tau. So basically what is m? M is given by HA over rho Vc. So basically this plot which is shown here on the left hand side is drawn with respect to this value of m, that is HA over rho Vc. Now we will try to understand that how this m is going to affect the variation in the temperature with respect to time actually. Now just focus here. Suppose if H increases, density decreases, volume decreases, and specific heat of the solid also decreases. Means we are considering a solid for which the density is low, and let us say we reduce the volume, its volume, and its specific heat is also low. Then what will happen to the rate of heat transfer? Now, rate of heat transfer is very much dependent upon the heat transfer coefficient. So if H is increasing, then naturally the heat transfer rate will increase, and simultaneously the value of m will be increasing actually. So when the value of m is increasing, then just try to think in your mind, the value of h has increased, the rho has reduced, volume has reduced, specific heat has reduced. Okay, so when the specific heat has reduced, there is less storage of the heat in the solid body also. So the temperature of the body will reduce at a faster rate when the value of m increases. Okay, so what is written here? In less and less time, body cools down to T infinity. So what is shown here initially, you can see the graph. uh, just a minute. The graph is starting from this particular point. Okay, and here the value of theta by theta s is equal to 1. Means we are talking about the value T minus T infinity is equal to Ti minus T infinity. What does it means when this value is 1? So initial temperature of the solid is equal to the uh, T is equal to the initial temperature. Okay. Now I am considering a particular value of m, and this is the curve which I am getting. This is the, let us say, curve number a, when m has a particular value. Now when I increase the value of m, what happens that the on increasing the value of m, the graph follows the shape b now, because now the rate of heat transfer has increased. So the temperature of the solid starts in decreasing at a faster rate. If I say this is the value of the infinity, this is t infinity. Okay, so if you increase the value of the h, then in that particular case the curve followed will be b. If you increase the value of m more, okay, the curve followed will be c. If you increase the value of m even more, then it will follow this particular path, which is represented here by path d. Okay, so that is how in lesser and lesser time the drop in temperature of the solid will be more. Okay, or we can say for a particular time the drop in temperature will be more. So this says that the temperature decays exponentially with the time, and the shape of the curve is determined by the value of the exponent m. And this I have already told you. The dimensions of m is time raised to power minus 1. So it is basically second raised to power minus 1 or minutes raised to power minus 1. Clearly, the curve becomes steeper as the value of m increases. That is why increase in the value of m will cause the solid to respond more quickly to a change in ambient temperature. Okay, so this is a very important aspect, and this we will discuss later on also, that why the value of h should be or large, or the value of the density should be low and volume should be low and the heat capacity should also be low. Okay, so this is the importance of m actually. Now we have discussed about the characteristic length. Now when we have to do the numerical problems, we should know what is the value of the characteristic length for different geometries. So that is what we are going to discuss here. Now if we consider a plate, now this is the plate which is shown here. Okay, its thickness is delta x, whereas the area of the walls, two walls which are opposite to each other, is a. So what will be the volume of this plate? And basically you know that the characteristic length is given by volume by area. So the characteristic length of this plate will be given by the volume. Volume will be equal to area into delta x divided by 2a. Why 2a? Because we are neglecting the four walls area. Which area? This area. This area. Okay. And there are two more areas on the opposite, in the opposite direction. And these areas we are neglecting. Why we are neglecting these areas? Because we are considering that the thickness is delta x and the area of four walls here will be very, very small. So we have neglected that area. And so in case of plate, the characteristic length comes out to be delta x by 2. So the next one is the cube. If we have a shape of cube, then this is the volume of the cube, a cube, and 6a square is the surface area of the cube. So finally the value of the characteristic length comes out to be a by 6. Similarly, if we talk about the cylindrical shape body, then once again it is v by a, volume is pi by 4 d square into l, and divided by, this is 2 pi r or pi dl, whatever uh, you can write it. And finally when we cancel out the various terms, the final value comes out to be r by 2, and it can also be written as d by 4. And then in case of sphere, the value comes out to be r by 3 by putting the value of the volume as 4 by 3 pi r cube and surface area as 4 pi r square. So this is the value of the characteristic length, or we can call it as d by 6 also. Okay, so I hope this part is clear to you. Now uh, till now we have calculated the value of the temperature distribution rather than temperature distribution, I will call that we have been able to calculate at a particular instant of time when the body is cooling, what will be the temperature of the body actually. That is what we would be able to know after deriving this particular equation. Okay, what is the equation? This is the equation which we have derived right now. Now we want to know, say the body started cooling from a instant when the time was 10:25, and now the time is, let us say, 10:30. At 10:30 I want to calculate what is the instantaneous rate of heat flow. Okay, so to calculate that value we can use this particular equation, and from where this particular equation came is, this is written here. Qi is the instantaneous heat flow. So the body has the mass multiplied by the specific heat, and what is the rate of change of temperature with respect to time. So this, when we multiply all these three things, we will be getting the instantaneous value of the heat transfer. So that is what we have written here in the first equation. If you see the first equation carefully, then what I have written is rho v. This stands for the mass, c stands for the specific heat. So this becomes rho into v becomes m into, this is c into dt by d tau. So this is rate of change of temperature with respect to time, and multiplication of these three things will give us the instantaneous heat flow. Now for calculating this dt by d tau, I need to know what is the value of the temperature. So this is the equation which I can write: T minus T infinity divided by Ti minus T infinity is equal to e raised to power minus Ha tau rho Vc. So from this equation, I would like to calculate what is the value of T. So T will be equal to, you can first of all take this value on the right hand side, multiply it. So you will get this value, and then this T infinity will be added to this total term. So this is the value of T. So in the next equation, what I do, I write Qi is equal to rho Vc, which is from here, rho Vc, then d by dt, d by d tau of t, and this is the value of t. T infinity plus ti minus t infinity e raised to power minus ha tau over rho Vc. So this is, now what I will do, I will differentiate the term which is in there in the brackets. So rho Vc will be remaining as it is. The first term is the variation of T infinity with time. So T infinity is a surrounding temperature. It is going to remain constant. So that is why we put it as 0 plus T minus T infinity. Once again, it's a constant. So it remains here multiplied by, now this is a sort of e raised to power minus x. So here this is the power value, minus Ha rho Vc into e raised to power minus Ha tau over rho Vc. So finally, if you see, we can cancel out this rho Vc and this rho Vc, and the final answer comes out as minus Ha Ti minus T infinity e raised to power minus Ha tau over rho Vc. If something is not clear about this part, you can ask me. Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, so we can proceed further. Till now, we have found the instantaneous value of the heat flow. Now we can calculate the total heat flow which would take place when the body started cooling at when the time was equal to 0, and till the final time which is equal to tau. So here we have calculated total heat transfer or loss or gain, whatever it may be, depending upon the situation, whether the body is being cooled or whether the body is being heated. That can be obtained by integrating the equation which we have just derived for Qi. Okay, we derived an equation for Qi. Okay, and from this equation, if this equation gave us the value of the instantaneous heat flow, if we integrate this instantaneous heat flow for time equal to 0 to time equal to tau, then we can calculate the total heat loss or total heat gain. Okay, so this is the final value, this is the Qt, that means total heat flow and that can be equal to qi into d tau, with integrating it from tau is equal to 0 to tau is equal to tau. So this was the value, uh, that is the value which we will get in this particular equation when you will integrate it. Rho vc ti minus t infinity e raised to power minus h a tau over rho vc minus 1. This integration you can try yourself, it's quite easy. So final answer comes out to be rho vc ti minus t infinity exponential of Poisson number into Fourier's number minus 1. Okay, so yes, it has to be a bracket here. Okay, so this is the final answer for the total heat flow. So I think this part is clear to you regarding the lumped heat capacity analysis. If you have any questions about the lumped heat capacity analysis, if you have not understood anything, you can ask me right now. If there is no question, then I will proceed further. So let us see. Now I have a numerical problem on lumped heat capacity analysis. It will tell us the time temperature history of the solid, and then we will conclude or bring out certain conclusions based on this numerical problem. So what we have considered here is we have a 5 centimeter diameter steel ball. So that is the first thing that is given to us. So this is the diameter. We have written it initially at a uniform temperature of 450 degrees Celsius. So I have written, you can say it is Ti or Ts, that is equal to 450 degrees Celsius. That is the second information. Is suddenly placed in an environment at 100 degrees Celsius. Okay, so this temperature was 450 was at tau is equal to 0, and now it is placed in an environment at 100 degrees Celsius. So this is the value of the T infinity, 100 degree. The convective heat transfer coefficient is 10 watt per meter square Kelvin. So we have written this particular value also. For steel, the value of specific heat is 0.46 kilojoules per kg Kelvin. So this is what we have written here. Density of steel is 7,800 kg per meter cube. So we have written it here. And the thermal conductivity of the solid, that means steel, is 35. So this information is given here. Now the question is, calculate the time required for ball to reach a temperature of 150 degrees Celsius. So just focus on certain things. Initial temperature is 450, the surrounding temperature is 100 degrees Celsius, and we want at what time the temperature of the body or the steel ball will be 150 degrees Celsius, means 50 degree above the ambient temperature. That is what the question is. Now, so once again, all the data is written here so that we can refer it while solving. So this is the equation which is available to us. This is the first equation which we know, which through which we can calculate the time temperature history of the solid body. Now you know this lumped heat capacity analysis is valid only when the value of Poisson number is less than 0.1. So the first thing that we should look for is that we should calculate the value of the Poisson number. So let us see uh, what is the value of the Poisson number. So Poisson number is given by H. It is, you can say, LC divided by Ks. So subscript S stands for solid. Okay, mind it, it is not the thermal conductivity of the surrounding fluid actually. Okay, it is the thermal conductivity of the solid. So we know the value of the H, which is 10 given here in the numerical problem. Now characteristic length. Now it is a spherical ball, and for sphere, the value of the characteristic length LC will be given by R divided by 3. Okay, and it is also equal to D by 6. So diameter is already known to us. It is written here, diameter is 5 centimeter. So in meters, the value comes out to be 0.05, and here we have divided by 6. And this is the value of the thermal conductivity. And when we calculate, the value of the Biot's number comes out to be 0.0024. So naturally you can see this value of Boyd's number is 0 less than 0.1. Therefore we can say that lumped heat capacity model can be applied to it. So that is the first step while we are calculating the time required. Now the second thing, because in this equation Boyd's number we have calculated, now we can calculate the Fourier's number, though the value of the temperature is not given here. The Fourier number, as you know, is given by alpha tau upon LC square. Okay, so what I can do is, I know what is the value of alpha. Alpha is the thermal diffusivity given by K over rho C multiplied by tau divided by LC square. So we do have all the values. We have the value of K 35. We have the value of rho 7800 kg per meter cube. We have the value of the specific heat given as 0.46 kilojoules per kg Kelvin. But we have to use consistent set of units. Okay, so you being in third year now, you know what is the consistent set of the units. So be careful while writing the units. I have shown the various units here. Okay, so you put all the values. The value of tau is still unknown, so the value of Fourier number comes in terms of tau, and this is the value of Fourier's number 0.1404682 tau. All other values are known to us. I can rearrange this equation. I can rearrange this equation. It is given by t minus t infinity upon ts minus t infinity is equal to e raised to power minus Boyd's number into Fourier number. So I can write it as log of t minus t infinity over ts minus t infinity, and here we are left with minus Boyd's number into Fourier number. So only unknown in this particular equation is tau here. Okay, and this tau is calculated as 96.97 minutes, which is actually 5818.4 seconds. So it means for body to reach a temperature of 150 degrees Celsius from 450 degrees Celsius, okay, the time required will be equal to 96.97 minutes. So it's a large time. It's nearly 1.5 hours. Okay, and if I want to reach a temperature of 105 degrees Celsius, I have just calculated it so that I can give you some more explanation of it. It is 211.72 minutes. Okay, this shows as the temperature decreases, it takes more time to cool the body. So this is the a sort of time temperature history. Now here I have considered the initial temperature to be 500. Initial time is 0, and 450 the time required is 6.65. If I go to 300 it is 34.54, and in between also you can see 400 14.34. So you can see here the time required has increased. Initially it was from 0 to 4 from 500 to 450 degrees Celsius. That temperature time was 6.65 minutes. Now from 450 to 400 it has increased. Similarly it has increased here also. So the time when the temperature is reducing keeps on increasing, and finally you can see when I say that temperature is of the body reaches to 101 degrees Celsius, the minutes or the time required is 298.58 minutes. So it's a huge time. So it's a sort of exponential curve which is plotted here. Okay, or asymptotic curve, you can see it. Now what is the implication of it? Now this lumped heat capacity analysis can be used for a very important application, that is thermocouple. A thermocouple, you know, is a device for the measurement of the temperature. Now what happens in case of thermocouples, when we are measuring the temperature of a fluid, and for example if the temperature of the fluid is varying, then you can understand if thermocouple is not able to measure the accurate temperature, then its utility is wasted actually. Okay, So thermocouple should be able to give us a good value of the temperature which it is measuring actually. Okay, so now I am going to discuss about the temperature time response of a thermocouple. So as you have seen, if the body is at a high temperature while cooling, if it is taking 298 minutes, and if thermocouple is also sensing the temperature of a varying fluid, so it won't be able to measure this temperature correctly actually, because it may be taking large time. So its response won't be good actually if it is taking large time to give us a particular value of the temperature of a fluid or of a body. So what should we do actually? That is what is important here. That is what is to be understood in this particular topic actually. Now thermocouple is an example of heat conduction with infinite thermal conductivity. Okay, so because usually when we think of a thermocouple, we know that it would be able to measure the temperature very quickly. But how it is made to do that actually? And that is because its thermal conductivity can be considered as infinite. That means we are using such a material for which the value of K is large actually. Okay. The temperature time response of a thermocouple is defined as the time required for the thermocouple to reach the source temperature when it is exposed to the source. So for example, if I am saying that this is thermocouple wire and here we have a bead here, and suppose it is put in some environment where it has to measure the temperature. Now this is the initial temperature of the thermocouple is Ti, and the fluid temperature here is, let us say, T infinity. So how much time it will take to measure this temperature of the fluid? So that is actually defined as the time temperature response of the thermocouple. Okay. So once again, we will be using the same equation which we have derived for the lumped heat capacity analysis. It is T minus T infinity over Ts minus T infinity, or instead of Ts, you can also write it as Ti. And same equation is there. Now let us proceed further. Now in the last case, we have calculated the various values. Okay. We calculated the value of this quantity also, HA over rho Vc. Now this is, you can say, uh, there is no tau here, so basically it is uh, Boyd's number into Fourier's number divided by tau. This is the value, and the answer is this one. Okay, this is the answer actually, and the value of tau came out to be 5818 second for reaching from a temperature of 450 degrees Celsius to 150 degree Celsius. And when we calculate this value, e raised to power minus ha over rho vc, okay, it comes out to be 0.9996. So it is nearly 1. Okay, so it's not a good value actually. We would like that it should be low. So what should we do actually? The Let us consider that the diameter of the wire is reduced and the value of h is increased. That is, I am considering, just for the sake of comparison to the previous case, I am saying that the value of h is now 6000. What was the value earlier? The value of h in the previous example was only 10, and now I have increased it to 6000. Okay, it's a huge value. The diameter in the previous case was 5 centimeter. Now I have reduced it to 0.03 meter, which is actually equal to 3 centimeter. Okay, and I have tried to calculate the value of this quantity h over rho vc for the sphere. Now this value comes out to be 3.344. Okay, and what was this value earlier? The earlier value was this one, 0.00003344. So you can see here I have chosen this value in such a way that the value of ha over rho vc is now 10,000 times more than the earlier value. Earlier value of this quantity was, you can see it from here, it is uh, 0.000334. Now the value is 3.344. Okay, and now when we calculate the value of the time required, now you can see what is the value of the time required. It is 0.5819 seconds for temperature to reach 150 degrees Celsius. That is, tau has reduced by a factor of 10,000. And why it could reduce? Because we have done two changes in the uh, body actually. The first one, not in the body, rather in the fluid actually, the heat transfer coefficient has increased and the diameter has reduced. We could have uh, got such an effect by reducing the diameter more, because in case of a thermocouple, the diameter of the bead is very very small actually. Okay, it could be maybe in millimeters actually, rather than centimeters. 3 centimeter is quite a big value, 5 centimeter is even quite a bigger value. But in case of a thermocouple, the thermocouple bead, where there is a joint of the two wires actually, the diameter there is even maybe could be 1 millimeter or even less than that. That is to be checked actually. So when we reduce the diameter, then this value of HA over OVC will be even larger. So when I calculate this particular value, e raised to power minus HA over OVC, it comes out to be 0.03. Okay, so this is the value. Effectively, what we are trying to do is we are trying to go for a value of HA over OVC which actually increases to infinity. So my purpose is to increase this value. Okay, so that it reaches to infinity, because e raised to power minus infinity will tend to be 1 actually. Okay, because or it will tend to be not 1, it will tend to be 0 when I take e raised to power minus infinity. Okay, thus we conclude that as the value of this term minus e raised to power minus HA over OVC approaches 0, time required by thermocouple to indicate or sense the temperature of air or another fluid also decreases rapidly. Okay, or simply decreasing the value of diameter and increasing the value of H can improve the time temperature response of a thermocouple. That is why a very thin wire is recommended for use in case of thermocouples. I hope this part is clear to you. If you have any questions, you can ask. Okay, now I will go further. However, due to asymptotic nature of the exponential curve, it is very difficult to determine precisely just when the temperature of the wire has reached the temperature of the source. We have drawn this curve, and this curve was something like this. Okay, so this is, you can say, if this is the source temperature T infinity and this is the initial temperature of the thermocouple, so we can't say that when this thermocouple has reached up to this particular temperature T infinity. Okay, therefore for all practical purposes it is desirable to specify the response of thermocouple by the time required for it to indicate a certain percentage of the initial temperature difference. Usually 63.2% is taken as the initial temperature difference. So for example, if I say the initial temperature of the thermocouple is 100 degrees Celsius and the surrounding temperature is, let us say, 0 degrees Celsius. So if this thermocouple reaches to a temperature of somewhere around 36.8, okay, if it is this is the temperature which is equivalent to 36.8. So what is the difference? The difference between this 100 and 36.8 would be equal to 63.2. So if I am able to calculate what is the temperature time at this particular instant, then that time is known as the response. That time is actually given a particular name and it is known as the time constant. Okay, so that value is the time constant. So this you will come to know. Okay, So let us see. Thus, time required by a thermocouple to reach 63.2% of the initial value of the temperature difference indicates the sensitivity of the thermocouple and is known as time constant of the thermocouple. So this is very, very important here. Thus, once again, I am using this particular equation. So I am saying that uh, T minus T infinity divided by T I minus T infinity should be equal to, you can say, 0.632. So that is actually the, that will reflect the reflect the uh, time constant or the sensitivity of the thermocouple. Okay, I think all these are already known to you. T infinity is the temperature of the source to be measured by the thermocouple. T is the temperature measured by the thermocouple after time tau, and Ti is the initial temperature of the thermocouple. So the value of time tau when the thermocouple temperature is 63.2% of the initial temperature difference is called the time constant of the thermocouple. And as I have already told you, T minus T infinity divided by Ts minus T infinity, this value is 0.632, or I can say it is 63.2%. So, and when I calculate the value of this value, then this term HA over rho VC into tau star comes out to be 1. Okay, this comes out to be 1 because this value is actually equal to e raised to power minus HA tau over rho VC. So when I will take log of 0.632, okay, and so, and with a negative sign with the power raised to power minus 1, the value of HA tau over rho VC, this will come out to be 1. So the time which we are calculating from here, that is given the name time constant or T star. And so this T star value comes out to be rho VC upon HA. So T star is the time constant of the thermocouple. Lower the value of the T star, better is the response of the thermocouple. Okay. Generally, the value of the time constant lies between 0.04 seconds to 2.5 seconds, depending upon the type of the fluid whose temperature is to be measured. So, if you have any questions on this, you can ask me. Because particularly when I say 0.04 seconds to 2.5 seconds, it's a small duration of the time. And for example, if we have a fluid whose temperature is varying periodically, for example, suppose if it is increasing and then going down and then once again increasing and going down, suppose it is following this pattern, and uh, any change in the temperature, say initial temperature is say 2 degrees Celsius and here the temperature is 3.5 degrees Celsius. Okay, so if our thermocouple has a good time constant means, and one more thing, and suppose for up to this particular point, if the time taken to reach from by the body or the fluid from 2 to 3.5 degrees Celsius is say 10 seconds, then my thermocouple, if it is having a time constant which is varying, for which the value is between 0.04 seconds to 2.5 seconds, that is good enough because within 10 seconds, because the time constant of the thermocouple is less than 10 seconds, so it would be able to measure this temperature variation quite easily actually. Okay, however, if the time constant of this thermocouple is more than 2.5 seconds, say if I say the time constant for this thermocouple is say 15 seconds, that means it's measuring the temperature difference of 63.2% of the initial temperature difference, and it is taking 16 seconds, then the change in temperature which is undergone by the body will not be correctly measured by the thermocouple. Okay, so this is what I wanted to tell you in today's lecture. If you have any question, you can ask me. Any questions?
No
No,
question,
sir.
sir.
Okay, there were two sounds actually. तो किसी को कुछ पूछना हो तो पूछ लो. And one more thing, your exam will now be on Friday actually. I have told it earlier to be on Thursday. I I have shifted it to Friday actually. So it will be held in the class on Friday. Okay. So just wait for some time.